If you go to animalzone.org, you can watch all 180 of them. It started, as I said, a simple local show, then it expanded to national, and now it's international. I think it's it's probably the only show around where the stars can drool on your shirt and leave fur on your sofa, and it's okay.
Oh my dog. Dog. Oh my dog.
Oh my dog, hey.
Oh my dog, hello.
We're back.
Back again.
And we're here with a guest.
Our most first bona fide famous guest.
A celebrity guest. His name is Arthur Von Wiesenberger?
No. You messed it up. He just told you.
Well, you knew I was going to get it wrong.
We practiced this.
I don't know why I took that as my line, because I knew I was going to get it wrong.
Arthur Von Wiesenberger. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. Hi.
Hi. Welcome to the show.
So nice to be in Iowa.
Yeah, so we are talking to Arthur. He's in California right now, and we're in Iowa. Arthur, tell us who you are, what you do, and then we're going to just dive in because I feel like we may have a few things in common.
Okay. Well, I know we both love dogs, and that's a good starting point. I was always with animals growing up as a kid, and we had all kinds of animals in our house. We lived out upstate New York, and there were frogs and chipmunks and squirrels and cats and dogs and all the rest of it. So they were always part of my life. In fact, they were my best friends growing up because I'm an only child, so I didn't have any siblings to play with. Bullfrogs were good pals. And as time went on, I always had this affinity towards animals. Fast forward, my parents moved overseas to Europe, and they sent me to a boarding school. And at the boarding school, I ran the film club. And one of the things I did was bring in films that were of interest, I thought, to the school. Our school was run by a vegetarian, and this was back before it was fashionable. His name was John Corlett. He was British. He believed everybody should be a vegetarian, and as a result, the school meals were always fake steaks and mystery meats, but nothing from an animal. So he kind of got me inspired a little bit. Not that I'm a vegetarian, by the way. But he got me inspired.
Kara is a pescapalian.
No, you always say pescapalian, but it's pescatarian.
Whatever.
I think pescatarian has
religion?
I think
That's
it's
a
a religion.
religion.
Yeah.
It's like
Either way.
Episcopalian.
Yeah, Episcopalian. Yeah, no, pescatarian. Yeah.
Actually, the school was Episcopalian school, funny enough. The thing that happened was I knew he was into animal welfare, and I kind of liked learning about it. And I started bringing in films that were showing animal abuse and trying to get people ginned up to do something about it, as a school. So we had
you a brown noser, Arthur?
Absolutely. Still am.
He was the teacher's pet. Literally.
Yeah, literally. Woof.
Unintended.
Yes, exactly. I wanted to get these films shown, but they were really rough to watch. There was a group called Friends of Animals that were showing films about the seal slaughter, baby seals up in, and they were getting the pelts. And then there was another thing about cows and how they were, never mind. I don't want to get into detail, but it was rough. And we all kind of felt really, it had an impact seeing that, and it was like, wow. So I kind of really liked animal welfare. I really thought this was a good thing to do. And fast forward, I opened a nightclubs in California back in the 80s. And we
would have liked that. I mean, we were just being born, but we would have liked it, I think.
I think your ID would not have worked at the club entrance, I'm afraid. But anyway, the clubs were called Nippers. We had one in Beverly Hills on Rodeo Drive and another one up here in Montecito. And it was really a lot of fun. Champagne, caviar, dancing, great music. The 80s, I still think it's some of the better music. But we did a fundraiser for battered pelicans, and that was an issue that hit the news.
What do you mean battered pelicans?
Somebody had been catching pelicans and breaking off their beaks. I mean, just
That's my favorite bird. I love pelicans. That makes me so sad.
I do too. And so we thought, well, we got to do a fundraiser to help the Dana Point Ocean Institute get these pelicans' beaks repaired and rehabilitate them. So Cindy Irvine from the Irvine Ranch Group came up, and we did this great night of casino. We built a poker and blackjack and dice and all these games that people could play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And And we had a lot of, because this is kind of a celebrity-laden community, we had a lot of celebrities come in to play and help raise money. And we raised a lot of money. I was amazed. I was shocked. It was more money than we make selling drinks, for sure. And so we ended up sending the money to the Ocean Institute in Dayton Point. Turned out they only had 3 pelicans, actually, that needed beaks. These beaks
and those
are gold,
pelicans were eating caviar.
solid gold beaks. I mean, they looked marvelous. So anyway, but it was a good effort. And you realize that, if you have a cause and you reach out to the community, sometimes it can really work. Sometimes it's almost too effective. But in any case, that got me sort of thinking about animal welfare as far as an activity that would, something we should do all the time. And whether it's adopting animals, which you were talking about dogs. I rescued a dog that was kind of an old beat up dog. He was, not old, he was young, but he was beat up. He had been run over by a truck, and the people who had him as a puppy didn't want to pay for the repairs on him. And so he grew kind of gimped and ultimately had to have 3 different surgeries. So I got him in the process of the surgeries. And he was the best dog I ever had. His name was Mikey. Yeah. And he was a pit bull. He was, and he was black and white and the cutest guy you could ever imagine.
Real quick though, did the pelicans get fitted with prosthetics then, or
yeah?
How did that?
Here, turn your other way. Come towards us this way so we can see a picture of Mikey. There you go. Oh my God! You know what Mikey looks like?
Tot Dot.
Tot Dot. I have a little pit bull, black and white pit bull. Her name's Tot Dot, and they look almost alike. Oh, precious!
They're the best. They're the best animal. And Mikey, I had Mikey for almost 9 years, and unfortunately he passed. But he was the love of my life. And you have that connection with an animal. Not always, but certain animals. There's just something that happened. He and I used to watch TV together and laugh. I'd laugh, and he would grin because pit bulls look like they're almost laughing anyway.
Yeah,
but he loved it. They do. So, anyways, that was sort of then. And that commercial, you probably see it in Iowa, or used to, maybe it was on commercial TV, where they had that ASPCA ad for
Sarah McLachlan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That bit.
So at my house, when that ad came on, we would switch to channels. It was a race to the remote control because it was so depressing.
You can't watch it.
I can't watch it. And it goes back to my earlier mention about seeing animals, in bad situations. It was hard. So I asked someone who runs a shelter here in this area, I said, is that ASPCA ad helping you guys? And she said, no, for 2 reasons. One is people watch the ad and they see how depressing these, emaciated dogs are inside cages, and they don't want to go to a shelter because they don't want to be depressed.
Yeah.
And number 2 was that if you send a check in, it doesn't help the local shelters.
No.
They don't send a check to you guys. You got to get your funding locally, primarily.
Yeah.
And so,
do you know how much the CEO of the ASPCA makes?
A lot. I heard about $1 million. Something like that.
At least they like Sarah McLachlan. That person does.
Well, Sarah likes too. She gets royalties every time that.
Yeah, it's true.
So I thought, well, this is maybe. It's an important thing, I guess, to get people aware of animal welfare. I don't like the negative approach so much. I'm looking at it through a different lens. I really think that we need to talk about the people who are doing good things for animals, and they're the heroes of the animal world. You guys who have a shelter are the heroes. And these are the people that are really matter because you're making a positive difference in the life of these animals. And so I thought, well, let's switch the narrative. Maybe we can switch the results as a result of that. So we started doing a local show here in Santa Barbara about the shelters and who were running the shelters and the animals that were in the shelters and the good things they were doing. And it was going good. We were happy. And then COVID hit. COVID is terrible for almost everybody, but not for AnimalZone. It was actually kind of worked because everybody started rescuing animals and adopting animals because they were stuck at home. So they started watching the show, and our distributor, which is Cox Television, said, hey, we're going to take you beyond just California. We're going to take you to some other states. And that expanded. Ultimately, we went across country all the way out to the East Coast, which I thought was amazing. And so we started filming in other areas. We filmed in Las Vegas and Texas and Florida. And then we started going international because the animal welfare world is global and everybody has a different approach.
Yeah.
We went to first international destination was Switzerland, which was
I
where
feel
I
like
was.
we need to witness this firsthand, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I went to school for broadcast journalism and communications, and I worked as, I know how to coil a cable. If you need somebody to help hold a camera or whatever, you let me know.
That's good. That's a good start. We actually work with a very, very narrow, skinny team. I mean, when I say skinny, well, not skinny physically, but 3 people is my crew, and they're all family. I mean, they're their own family. So I've got a father, a mother, and their son who's in his 30s. So it's an older crew. But that's the way we can afford to do the show, because traveling with a regular film crew, it's different. But in any case,
yeah, for sure.
But we all got to Switzerland. We found out that Switzerland has some very different approaches towards animal welfare. I mean, they have shelters, of course, and really good ones and really nice ones. And they have a long history of shelters. I mean, they have one of the shelters in Zurich is one of the oldest animal shelters in Europe. It's great to see what they're doing, because they're very innovative. They're trying new things, which I like to see in places that are pretty much a traditional area. Like at this one shelter in Zurich, they had cats on the upper floors, and the cats could go out onto the roof, and they had this beautiful view of of the Swiss Alps from there. I went, lucky cats. And they had this little tunnel that they could make their way back into the inside of the shelter.
Right. Oh my gosh, they didn't even want to get adopted.
What a catio.
Yeah.
And
that is quite the catio.
And they built this shelter, very modern building, lots of glass, so it's lots of light. But they found out that they didn't want to cause problems with the wildlife, because apparently big glassy buildings out in the middle of the forest, which this kind of was, birds fly right into them and kill themselves.
Good
So
for the
they
Not so much for the birds.
They came up with this technology of putting in this mesh screen in the glass that you and I couldn't see, but the birds can see, and they see it as a solid object, so they don't fly into it.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, that's great. And it's amazing what people can create. So anyway, Switzerland was great.
Yeah.
How are shelters like that funded? Are they funded by local government or?
Some are. Some shelters get local support from governments. Others get donations. Most, really, the main good shelters that succeed have 1 or 2 angel foundations that keep them going. I mean, in the States, that's certainly the case. In Europe, that seems to be the case. They don't have quite the same structure like we have in America, as far as donating money to a nonprofit. You can have certain benefits, or if you are a nonprofit, you can donate to a nonprofit. In Europe, it's a bit different, and we filmed in Japan, and there it's also different. The Japanese are just starting to get onto nonprofits. Most of the stuff that's there is being funded individually by the people who are doing it, which is a challenge because it's expensive, as you know. Looking after animals, feeding them, vet care, that all adds up.
Yeah, we were just running the numbers the other day, and it can get very expensive. Some dogs come in and it's not very expensive at all. They might just need updated on vaccinations or something like that. And then you have other dogs that come in that have emergency surgeries, and it can get very costly very quick.
Yeah.
We've kind of ran the numbers, and on average, it's about $507 per dog over the last 2.5 years is what it costs us. And so, sometimes we get a little flack for the adoption fees, but the adoption fee doesn't even cover the average cost for a dog. So,
yeah, it is wild.
How many dogs do you have right now?
We just hit a little over 650. I think we're at 656 or something like that.
But on average, at a time, we usually have
like 20.
15 or 20. All of our dogs, we don't have a shelter, like a brick and mortar. We're foster based. So we have to rely on foster homes being available. And that ebbs and flows with the seasons, right? So school is coming up. People are amping up and getting ready for that. We'll lose a few foster homes to that. In the summer, we maybe have a few more.
Or when summer starts, you lose a few fosters because they're taking vacations.
Yep.
And vice versa. So that's why we like to have a really deep bench of fosters, so everybody can kind of cycle as their life cycles.
Yes, for sure. So with the state in Iowa here, you have to be approved as a foster oversight organization, and we are approved for 60 foster homes. if we're counting all the ones that are active and inactive, we need every single one of those. Otherwise, we can't do what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, the state, that number is for active fosters. So at the time of inspection.
Right.
If
we had 60 dogs at a time,
we'd
be a little crazy.
More crazy.
Yes.
In Iowa, do they have a limit of how many dogs a foster home can have, or cats?
No, only the registered.
The resident dogs.
Yeah,
so, they have to follow their state or their city guidelines, and then outside of that, typically people have maybe one or two. Yeah. And then we have one foster who specifically will do puppies for us. So she'll have like a litter of puppies at a time. I like to say we're not in the business of puppies. We don't want those. It's just so much work, and it's a longer commitment, so it's harder for us. We'd rather have like the 19-year-old Chihuahua that's, just barely making it. He's way more fun for us. But yeah, we have that puppy foster, but otherwise most people are one or two at a time max. Yeah.
Wow, it's a handful. But you know what? You guys are doing great work. I mean, that's the bottom line. Organizing and helping these animals is incredible, because otherwise what would happen to them?
Yeah, so we're at 657, so that's on average 24 a month. I think the last time I calculated, it was one every 1.5 days.
Yep.
So how do you, and I'm sorry to turn this interview around. Now I'm interviewing you, but this is what we would do in the show. But I'm kind of curious, how do you emotionally do things with these animals? Because if you rescued them and you're caring for them and you see them every day, I mean, isn't that bond kind of getting connected, and doesn't it get hard not to say?
We're totally dead inside.
Can you see our black auras, just our souls? We've been doing this for so long that, for Holly and I, we don't foster a whole lot because we have spent so much of our time and efforts just organizing everything and keeping things on track. So personally, we don't, but we did. I fostered our home, my family, over 200 dogs before we started the rescue. And in the beginning, it was tough. And I'm not saying that I don't have a lot of dogs, because I do. But it gets easier and easier, and you learn quicker that while you may love and care for each of those dogs, you understand that they have a place in this world that is not your home. It doesn't have to be your home, because if it is, then there's another dog out there that you can't help because you kept that dog. Our fosters learn that very quickly. Yeah. And we start hearing them talk about that organically and saying, you feel like that at first, but then once you see that dog who you loved and brought up from like a terrified, let's say, breeder release dog who'd never been pet or held or seen grass before,
or who you saved off a euthanasia list.
Saved it from a euthanasia list, or a family who was hitting really hard times and couldn't care for their animal anymore. And you took that dog who was scared and shut down, and then you watched them thrive in their forever home. It's better than crack cocaine. Yeah. You're coming back. It's really great, because you then, and the next dog comes and the next dog comes, and you start to understand that you yourself, your little family, can make a huge difference in the lives of multiple animals, which is wild.
And just because they get adopted doesn't mean you never see them again. I mean, We've got one of our fosters, Natasha, is on vacation right now, and she's making like a side quest road trip to go visit a foster that she used to have 2 states away.
Yeah, she's going to visit her old foster dog, which is amazing.
We keep in contact with the adopters, and they send us updates and pictures, and they let us know when they pass, and we have our rainbow page, and so it doesn't end on adoption day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's great. That's great.
But it does take a minute to get past that idea of, as an animal lover, it's like, well, I nursed this puppy back to health, so she's mine now.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like that forever.
You talk about kind of the struggles that shelters and rescues like us have, and that's one of our biggest hurdles, I guess, is convincing people that they can foster and that they won't get attached and they won't adopt every dog. And not every dog that comes into your care fits in with your pack or fits in with your life, or, you're not going to fall in love with every single one. In the meantime, while they're having that thought process and not fostering, we have to say no to dogs that could.
Yeah. I think if you talk about like the emotional impact, I think the emotional impact for us is bigger, more that we have to say no. Like, I delete about 5 emails a day without opening them from shelters across the country. So we're talking, California, Texas, a lot in Texas, Minnesota, Missouri. Like, I delete these emails because I know in the moment I can't help any of those dogs. And it's easier for me to not look at the pictures of them, knowing that they're going to be euthanized at the end of the week because I don't have any available spots. And that's harder. It's harder for me to look at those pictures and have to do that. And now, I mean, like we say, we're dead inside. Not really. But we've been doing this for so long. I can scroll through the pictures and realistically say, I got a home for that one, that one, that one, this one, no, I couldn't help it, and it's difficult to have to make that like quick judgment, but you have to be able to help as many as we can,
because there's an email right after that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's wild. So
we need Sarah McLachlan to start singing a sad song for us.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. So AnimalZone, and we're now in our 14th season of the show. Wow. So we have over 180 episods in the can.
Cool.
If you go to animalzone.org, you can watch all 180 of them. It started, as I said, a simple local show, then it expanded to national, and now it's international. I think it's probably the only show around where the stars can drool on your shirt and leave fur on your sofa, and it's okay, But we started with dogs and cats. That was the original thing. Focus was companion animals, even rabbits to a certain degree, and that slowly evolved, and we started to include barnyard animals, things like pigs and donkeys and goats and sheep and horses, and that was a whole nother realm of animal lovers, people who really adore animals. It's amazing the scope of what they love. And barnyard animals are great, and they're incredible characters in and of themselves. Actually, in Hawaii, when we were filming there earlier this year, we went to a place in Hilo, which is called the Krishna Cow Sanctuary. And these guys had rescued cows that were going to be going to slaughter because the dairy was being shut down. And they rescued these cows, and they built a beautiful area for the cows to run around and eat grass and do all what the cows do. And they had a sign on the road saying, "Cow cuddling this way," and you could drive down this road.
Tourist attraction immediately.
Make a small donation, and then you go into this tented area where these cows are all lounging about, and you sit there and pet them and stroke them. They like being stroked under their chin, apparently, and they had little calves as well. And I went, "Oh, that's amazing!" And the cows loved it. So you never know, how you're going to find these animals that are. Sometimes we take them for granted for other reasons, but I mean, they're all wonderful. Cows are very sweet and fond and passionate to a certain degree. So anyway, we started including this, and when we went to Switzerland, we filmed cows as well, because that's what Switzerland's known for. They have this thing that takes place in a town called Sion in the summertime, or springtime, where cows come out of the mountains and they battle. These type of female cows battle each other.
Wait. There's wild cows?
Well,
is that a thing? Or are they they're owned cows, but they're like hanging out in the mountains?
Yeah, they're farm cows. They're let out of their stalls, and they wander around in the wonderful Alps, eating the grasses and all that.
Okay.
But they also battle each other to see who's going to be the queen of the cows, because one cow will be kind of the boss of all the other cows. And they bump heads. They don't hurt each other. There's no injuries, but they just sort of push each other until they give up. One gives up. And then they have this competition where all these cows get together, all the queens of the cows of the different villages get together, and they have a kind of a championship. Who's going to be the winning cow, the queen of the cows? And they get ribbons, and they put flowers around them. I mean, the guys who have these cows love them. But in any case, one of the things we found out, we ran into this group of lawyers who are animal welfare lawyers in Zurich. And they said, we've been doing some studies about cows. And I go, yeah, you guys have a lot of cows here. He said, well, you see these cows in the Alps walking around, the cowbells around their neck, and the ringing, bing, ding, ding, as they walk through the Alps. And people think, oh, that's beautiful. That's Switzerland. But the cows don't like it. And I go, really? They say, yeah. We found out that cows who have to wear these heavy bells and this constant noise are stressed, and the milk they produce is not as good quality as the milk that cows who don't wear those bells produce. So now they've come up with a new concept for these cows, because they put the bells on so the farmers could find their cows. That was the reason they're there in the first place, because when they go wandering up in the mountains, you got to listen. So now they've come up with this idea. They're putting GPS trackers, a little collar on the cow that doesn't weigh anything and doesn't make any
collars.
bad sounds, and it's not heavy, and the cows are making better milk and cheese and cream and yogurt and all the other things. So you never know where things are going to go. That's the fascinating thing about this world of animals.
It is crazy.
Have you ever been to Iowa, Arthur?
No, I've always wanted to come too.
Yeah. Well,
just steer clear, hon.
Well, no, I was just looking up. There are, yes, well, I mean, the animal welfare laws in Iowa are abysmal, and it's because we're a farming state. And so there's so many laws that favor farmers and then in turn trickles down and doesn't treat animals well, right? But I was going to tell you, there is a sanctuary that you should come visit here. It's called Iowa Farm Sanctuary. And they're really wonderful. They do a really great job. And so let's say, I'll give a quick anecdote.
Where are they?
They're right outside Des Moines, I want to say. They're not far. Look where they are. I don't know. But I grew up on a highway in a farming town, and a truck was driving through town, and a broiler chicken fell off a truck and started running down the highway. And I was just standing right there at the gas station as a child, like pretty in love with animals already. And so I scooped up this broiler chicken, named him Master P, and brought him home. And I had him in our entryway on our farm. Like, we didn't have chickens on our farm, so I had no place for him to properly live. But I scooped him up at that point and kind of had him living in our entryway. My mom had a barbershop in the basement. People would come, the chicken would be in the entryway. It was a whole thing. But in this instance, when this type of thing happens, and it does, chickens fall off of trucks, piglets fall off of trucks, Iowa Farm Sanctuary will take them in. And then, things like that happens. And then they live this life of luxury. And we had a rogue water buffalo that was running through
Des Moines. National news.
Yeah, national news. Running through Des Moines. People were catching it on their Ring cameras. A water buffalo was walking through Des Moines neighborhoods in the city, and they're like, what the heck is this water buffalo doing? Well, they eventually caught it. The police shot it, but then they caught it, and then they took it to the university. They nursed it back to health, and then Iowa Farm Sanctuary in turn gave it a home, and it ended up dying of something else later on. But it lived
lead poisoning,
probably lead poisoning. Honestly, had that bullet floating around. But anyway, it is a wonderful sanctuary, and there's probably all kinds of crazy stories like that arise from being a farm sanctuary in Iowa, which seems kind of crazy because next door there may be a cattle farm, and then the other side, hog confinement, so.
And I grew up on a farm, and I still farm with my family, and so we had sheep. Still have sheep, but we had sheep growing up, and I had a orphan bottle lamb. She was named Mary, and she was the first and only lamb to ride in a hot air balloon. Believe it or not.
What?
Wow.
First of all, why have I never heard this story?
But anyway.
What did she think of the hot air balloon? Quest. Was she very tiny?
No, she was fat as a toad because I bottle fed her for 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, we do these little side quests and we don't know how we get here, but we're on our way back.
Yeah, but I mean, all that to say, living in Iowa, when you think about animal welfare and, animals that are usually raised for food, it becomes a little bit of
I'm sure
it's viewed in a different way, but Iowa Farm Sanctuary would be a cool place for you to visit.
Parts of California are like that too. You go down to the Central Valley, most of the animals there are being raised for meat, and that's delicious. But I'm really focused on, when we do animal welfare, we like to focus on how the animals are being treated that aren't being eaten, and that's kind of how we evaluate who we're going to film, because we sort of, first step is to see if there's some good wags involved in the animal side of things. Because if we want to look at shelters that are doing the right stuff, that are treating their animals well, feeding them properly, keeping them clean, and most of all, you can tell from the people who are running the shelters if they have love for the animal. That's number one, I think, because if you go to a shelter and there's any weird undertones going on, and I've seen a few of those too, where things weren't quite right, and I didn't know what was wrong, but I didn't feel good about it. And so we sort of X those interviews, but we really try and qualify who we're going to put on the show before we film them. And in most cases, it works. We've had a few where we've had to drop the episode, but for the most part, they've been people are really great. People in this world are really great, I should say.
Yeah.
So you've finished filming season 14. Are you looking into season 15 then?
We've already got it planned. We're going to be shooting.
What does that look like?
Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. We're going to Florida. And we're going to start at the Keys. So we're going down to Key Largo to begin at. And
We love
you know
Keys.
what's in the Key Largo, which I just think this is going to be an interesting story. There's a place called the Monroe County Sheriff's Animal Farm. And I found out that this is a farm that was set up because of some ducks. There were some ducks that went into sort of a sheltered area around the prison, and the prisoners started looking after the ducks, giving them some bread and fresh water and all that kind of stuff. And the ducks were having a fine old time. Well, this got into the local newspaper. People read about this prison where the prisoners are caring for these ducks. So they said, hey, we've got a pig, or we've got some sheep, or we got a goat. Can we bring it over? And the sheriff was cool enough. He said, yeah, that's okay. We'll set up a little place for them. So slowly they started getting more and more animals, because there wasn't really much in the way of animal rescue in the Keys.
Yeah.
And ultimately now I think
genius.
they have like 140 animals that are in this sheriff's farm, all looked after by prisoners. And the best thing is, besides the animals all being cared for, and really quite well cared for, I think, the prisoners sort of changed their mentality. They heard that they become more humane because of this relationship with an animal. And a lot of them, once they get out, they want to work in animal welfare and sanctuaries and things like that.
It's just like pit bulls and parolees.
We actually have an acquaintance that Kara knows from. We grew up together, right?
Yeah, my hometown there's a prison there, and we had them on our podcast. But there has been for many, many years a prison program for training dogs.
Yes.
And so I think that is just, the dogs get things out of it. The prisoners get things out of it.
The shelter gets cleared out.
The shelters get cleared out. They can take in more animals. It is absolutely genius. I don't know why every prison in the nation doesn't have some sort of program like this. And you have to earn it to get a dog to sleep in your quarters with you and to train it and be a part of that. It has to be, it's not just everybody gets that privilege, and it is absolutely incredible. So yeah, we did an episode about that, and it is something that I'd like to see implemented more and more. It's incredible. But a whole farm, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's great. And we filmed actually in one of those prisons too, up in San Luis Obispo, called the Men's Colony. And they were getting dogs that were brought in to be trained for 2 years. They would go through a training process with these dogs, the prisoners would, and then they would give them to vets, therapy dogs, PTSD sufferers, whatever. But by this point, these dogs knew how to bring stuff to people and do all the stuff that opened doors for people and all that.
Well, it's the perfect trainers. They've got 24/7. They have nothing else to do.
Exactly. And meeting these prisoners, these guys, I met one guy who scared the heck out of me because he looked like the kind of guy you run into in an alley and you'd run the other way real fast.
Yeah.
But, he looked at me and I said, so how's this been for you? How are you doing with this animal? Because it's the best thing. I love this animal. It's been the best thing for my life. I've found my humanity. And I went, that's great.
Wow.
And, you realize that's what they give us as a gift, these animals. Anyway, in Hawaii, we kind of pushed the envelope a little further because we started, as I said, with dogs and cats, animals. Then we went to barnyard animals. Then we went to wildlife because we thought, well, that needs to be in the discussion as well. And we were tracking everything from, birds, eagles, snakes, all kinds of stuff out there, and bears and deer, wolves. We actually shot an episode with a wolf that was big. He was sitting next to me, and I'm sitting there going, "You are big." And I was stroking him on his chest. I was just stroking him gently like that. And I stopped for a minute, and he looked at me and went, "Oh, let me go, keep going." They kind of tell you what to do.
Oh my, what big teeth you have.
Yeah. But he was wonderful. And that was a good episode. But then we moved into a whole new section in Hawaii because we ran into this honeybee expert that she raises bees and handles beehives and does all this work with bees. And she started explaining about how these bees exist and what they do, and the worker bees. And we started going into the hive and bringing up different frames. They showed one frame where they were building the honeycomb, and then the next frame was showing the worker bees filling the honeycomb, and then the next frame was the queen bee, and she was laying eggs inside the honeycomb. And then the last frame that we saw were these worker bees, and there's this one bee that was doing this dance. and they call it the waggle dance. I never heard of the waggle dance before, but it's where the bee is telling the other bees where the best flowers are and how far away they are from the hive. And they do it by how many times they go up and down like that, and then they do a circle, and they talk about
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. They do this dance in relationship to the sun, so that these bees can find where these wonderful pollinated flowers are.
Oh, that's wild.
So, you never know. Every animal has something fantastic to learn about.
Yes,
I have
the
a
world
couple
is a
neighbors.
magical
I have
place.
2 different neighbors just within a couple miles of me that have bee colonies.
It's wild. I have gotten down the rabbit hole on the internet more than I would like to admit of the people, like they'll go and let's say Tanner accidentally got a beehive in here and it would live in this tiny grain bin. And then they have to like find the queen and they put it in this little clip and then they move it and then all the other bees go into the box and they close them in the box. Like relocating these bee colonies. Well, yeah, but it's so amazing. They just walk up and they don't have anything. They're like, we're fine. I know what the deal is. I got to go get the queen. Once I have the queen, they're not going to bother me. I'm like, what? It's so cool, though. Bees are incredible.
When I went in to film this, I wear the same outfit, which is this black shirt with a little AnimalZone logo on there and black pants. Keeps me looking skinny. In any case, I walked up to do this segment, and the woman who ran it said, "You can't wear black." And I go, "Really? No, you got to put on this white outfit, and with the thing over your head and the gloves and but all white." And I go, "Well, why?" And she said, "Because if bees see you come up to them all in black, they'll think you're a bear and they'll attack you." Okay, so don't wear black around bees, just as a warning.
Or yellow and a red T-shirt.
Yeah, I was going to say, thanks a lot, Winnie the Pooh. Ruined it for everybody.
Hey, Arthur, when you started AnimalZone, what was your goal and how has that goal changed as of today?
Wow. Well, my goal was just to do a show locally that would help promote this perception that, hey, support your shelters locally, and they're good places. They're beautiful. Some of these shelters are built like Four Seasons hotels. And so I said, that's to change that perspective. That was my main goal. It evolved. And once we got into other markets, once we expanded across the country and then actually internationally, because we're on Pluto and Plex and Tubi and.
Oh, I thought he was talking about the actual planet Pluto. I'm like, things are getting weird. We've left the Earth.
No.
This guest is not verified.
Okay. Yep. I'm back. I'm back on planet Earth with you now.
I'm not going to lie. I was thinking the same thing because I've been waiting to say.
Yeah, where is it streaming?
No. I was waiting to say it seems like he always films on places he wants to vacation to. He's going to the Keys.
He's going to
nice
Switzerland.
He's been in San Luis Obispo, however you say that, and Pluto.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was out of this world. Or it could have been the Disney dog. That's Pluto too.
That's true.
But.
Sorry, we completely cut his answer off.
I'm sorry. I got thrown up. I've never heard of the Pluto.
Where it's going.
Oh, you haven't heard of that streaming?
No. Yeah, like, what are we talking about here?
It's
not even
great.
a planet anymore.
It's Pluto.tv. That's one of the main streamers. Okay. They have 2 seasons of our show so far, and I think I just talked to the distributor, and they're about to put on another season. So it's a good place to see the show. Also, we have them all on animalzone.org. Everything's on there. And so, depends on what you like to watch. I like to watch things on big screens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There'll be a quiz afterwards.
We'll send you our review.
The great thing is that animals have stories. Every animal has a story, and so we dive into that a little bit. And a lot of times it's better than a Hollywood script because it's real. And so we try and sort of show to our audience that these animals are unique. Each one has its own unique qualities, and a lot of them will make probably the best pets you'll ever have. Because I think when you rescue an animal, they know it. I certainly found that with our cats. I found that with the dog, Mikey.
Except for Chihuahua. Chihuahuas don't give a shit.
They don't really. They don't appreciate it? Okay, well, I haven't rescued a Chihuahua.
No, they don't care at
all. And yes, we do like to go to nice places to film, but also that's just logistics because weather-wise, we want to be outdoors. We're mostly filming outdoors as much as we can. So weather plays a big part, and we shoot a whole season like in 10 days. So
wow.
We got to be really. Well, it's budgetary. We got to keep everything moving fast.
Yeah. How many episodes are in a season?
It's 13 half-hour episodes. Yeah,
that's busy.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Volunteer World?
No.
Okay,
Oh.
so it's this website, and Kara and I have looked into it because you can sign up to volunteer, and there's a million different opportunities. But as far as shelters and rescues go, you can sign up to volunteer at a shelter, like for example, let's say in Fiji.
I was going to say
Oh,
Fiji because
okay.
that's on our list.
So there's a shelter in Fiji that you can volunteer for like a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and they put you up in with a host family, and you have to pay for your flight there, and you have to pay like a very minimal room and board, like $100 for the week.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you kind of get to spend time with the family in the evenings and then the mornings, and then during the day you go volunteer at the shelter. You might do training, or you might do web stuff. You might help them with their website or
Social media stuff.
Or cleaning kennels, whatever they need you to do that day.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day is your own. And
What a
I think
great
it's just a really great opportunity.
Yeah. It was, they had that for, I forget what it was, the Peace Corps was kind of like that a way, wasn't it?
Yeah,
They used to
sure.
go and travel around the world and do stuff for the Peace Corps, and it was a great way to see the world in a different way. By the way, speaking of dogs, I forgot to mention, we have on the show, and you might get a kick out of this, we have a woman named Laura Stinchfield. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's written a number of books, and she's known as the pet psychic. Now, when we brought her...
We like that.
When we brought Laura onto the show, because she was living up in Ojai, which is not far from Santa Barbara, when we brought her on the show, we just wanted to see how that would work as sort of a little bit of a change of atmosphere, because we're in shelters. Let's see what these animals are thinking and if she can tell us. Well, my crew was very skeptical. They said, well, come on, this is... And I said, well, it may be entertaining, but it certainly should be informative. It's a different approach. So we got Laura in. Well, now, after numerous times of having her do incredible readings that were so accurate, and no one would know except the animal that she was talking to, she's gotten there credible as a real psychic. I mean, she really does have it. And we've had some other... You should have her on your show, by the way. She'd be great.
That would be so great.
I'm already on the website. I'm in deep.
Yeah. Okay. You can have her do a reading remotely. So if you had a dog and you wanted to know more about the dog, she by phone you can have her tell you. So, and I know she'd love being with you guys because you're a lot of fun.
I'm so
anyway.
down.
And she's a lot of fun. She's in New York right now. She lives in New York. But anyway, we had Laura. We were filming her in Dallas, Texas, and she was doing readings of animals that she's worked with over the years because she does a lot of this stuff remotely. And this woman brought in this dog. It was a really herky dog named Moose. And Moose, he looked pretty much like a cross between a Saint Bernard and maybe a Doberman and maybe a Pit Bull. I mean, he had a lot of different things going on. Heinz 51 flavors or whatever. Any case, he came and he sat and she started talking to him. And she talks to him like we talking to each other. And she was asking the dog, how it was doing. The dog apparently was saying that didn't like going out, didn't like going places, wanted to stay at home and that kind of thing. And at a certain moment, she's saying, well, sometimes you got to go to the vet. And he just starts going,
yeah, don't talk about that.
Doesn't like the vet. But she's been incredible. Now, can I tell you a racy story? I mean, how maybe a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Unfiltered.
Unhinged,
All right.
unfiltered, and
Okay.
drop
All right.
it down.
I am still ready.
This is another Laura story. So Laura, and you can see this, by the way, if you go to the website, I think it's season 11, there's the Pet Psychic special, where we have all kinds of these clips of different episodes that she's been on. But this one she told me about, and I thought it was just an amazing story. But so she was doing a reading about a woman's cat, and she was talking about the cat, and the woman was going, yeah. And at the end of the reading, in comes her dog, the woman's dog. And Laura says to the woman, she says, the dog wants to talk to me. Is that okay? And she said, sure. So she starts talking to the dog, and the dog, whatever she's saying to Laura, and Laura's going, yes, oh, I see. Okay. And so the woman says, well, what'd the dog say? And Laura says, listen, I'm not really that comfortable telling you what the dog was talking about. And the woman says, no, tell me what the dog said. I want to know now. Well, she said, the dog was telling me that he doesn't like it when you leave the house in the morning and then that other woman comes over and goes upstairs with your husband. And And by the way, the woman said, "Oh, no, the dog is just confused. That's probably the maid doing some cleaning, whatever, all that."
Maid's doing something.
Yeah. Well, it turned out 2 weeks later, Laura gets a phone call from this woman going, "You won't believe it. My husband was having an affair. It was true. The dog was right." And so she ended up getting a divorce. And you know, I mean,
My
it's
dog
amazing.
is right.
Well, and we thought that dogs were man's best friend.
No.
No.
But anyway, that's the kind of stuff Laura does. She's really great with animals and getting to know what they're thinking. And I asked her, how do you hear them? How does it work? And she says, ever since she was a kid, she could understand what an animal was thinking. She gets pictures from the animal, like visuals, and so she thought everybody did that. And then her parents luckily didn't say, "Oh, that's just your imagination," or grow up or whatever. They kind of encouraged her to keep trying this talent, this ability. And as a result, now she's really got an ability not only to talk to animals via telephone, but if you have an animal that's passed, she can tap into that too. And she's done that. I mean, I've had tears coming down, it's so real. I mean, she had a celebrity from, what is it, the Queer Eye? There was a Frenchie on that show, I think, called the Queer Eye. Remember that?
I've seen every episode. I love that show.
So that Frenchie that was so popular, he was like on Instagram and everything. So his owner, one of the girls on that show, came to an episode that we were filming, and because the dog had passed, and the dog was telling Laura stuff that Laura was telling the girl, and the girl's just weeping because it's all true. And I think she was so glad to know that the dog is somewhere in a good place,
Bruley, is that the name of
Bruley, exactly. You got it. You'll see.
Okay. I've got it queued up. I'm going to watch it later. I'm ready.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Good. Well done. Well done.
Well, I'm sure you've met a lot of interesting people. Is there anybody else memorable?
We had Christopher Lloyd from, the guy from Doc from Back to the Future. Yeah. So
like the crazy hair.
Yeah. So he lives here locally, and he had gotten a pit bull named Elton, and we filmed him with Elton. He's absolutely in love with this dog. I pictured him rolling around on the grass with Elton. I went, gee, this is better than Back to the Future. But he's a nice chap. He's shy. He's quiet. We had Peter Noon. I mean, it's probably before your time, but ask your parents or grandparents. There was a rock band called Herman's Hermits. And
you know what? They played at the Iowa State Fair just days ago.
I thought I recognized the name.
They played 2 shows, and my mother was going on and on about that she got to see Herman's Hermits, and it was the very first concert she ever went to.
I heard him on the radio.
With her cousin at 14. They got free tickets, and they got to go. And so this year, literally a few days ago, Herman's Hermits was here in Des Moines playing at the Iowa State Fair. And she said it was great.
They are great. And Peter Noon is fantastic. He's one of the most entertaining entertainers. He's been at it.
Very funny.
He's 77 years old, but he's been performing since he was 15. Anyway, so Peter's been on the show, and he has 2 dogs. At least on the show, he had these 2 dogs, and he did a little shtick about it, which was funny as anything. But
he's pretty funny, I hear.
He's hilarious.
Oh, look, I found your picture with him. He has a pug and a Frenchie.
There you go.
Look at them. Aww. They're adorable. One of them looks like one of my dogs. Cute.
Well, show it to your mom, because she'll.
She's going to be so excited after she hears this. Jazzed. She is going to be jazzed. She was very jazzed after she got to see Herman's Hermits at the fair.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have lunch with him tomorrow, so I'll tell him that.
Tell him.
I will. So we're talking to Iowa, and you got a fan. Iowa State Fair, right? That's great.
Yeah, that's right. He was here.
Well, you know what? Really, if he comes back, you really should go. It's a great show. I brought my kids to the show, and they loved it, and they didn't. It
was incredible. I'm sad I missed it.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really upbeat. You walk away feeling like you're on cloud 9.
That's amazing. What a tiny world we're in.
Holy cow, I guess.
Yeah. So,
that's amazing. Anyway. Well, I absolutely love that you're doing this. So, I mean, as somebody who went to school for journalism and broadcast, I've really enjoyed being able to have this podcast because it's kind of gotten that desire to do this out. But for you to be able to do this and kind of go all over the country and the world, just talking to people about animals, that's the dream. That's amazing.
It is a dream. I love this job. I mean,
What do you do in your off season?
Yeah.
There isn't an off season because we have to shoot 26 episodes a year. So the actual filming is done in a very consolidated amount of time, but it's all the work to get it organized, all the logistics, all the emails. I mean, if you saw my computer, you'd cry because it's got too much crap on it. But
Probably looks like ours, honestly.
You know how it is. I mean, you're booking guests and all this, and
well, mostly it's people wanting to give their dogs away. But so when you film this, and obviously you've got all these places that are helping to, push it out or produce it, or not produce it, but
air it,
distribute it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you do all of that too. Do you have people that help you with making those connections, or what does that look like?
I've got a great distributor in LA called Raleigh TV, a guy who I've known forever named John Lang. He used to work at Warner Brothers. And John happens to love animals, which is great. And so he takes the shows and he gets them onto these streaming platforms. And some are better than others. Pluto is our star as far as actually getting it shown a lot. I mean, they all work on, they send you pennies for every time that gets shown because they get advertisers to come on. We don't have any advertisers on the show that air in Cox. We just do PSAs because we're a nonprofit. So we're not.
Sure.
But the good news is we're not looking to make money. We're just hoping to pay for the next year. That's all.
Well, it'll make it easier for us to binge.
There's nothing I hate more than commercials.
Yeah. Well, the PSAs are kind of cool. If you see the PSAs that are on the AnimalZone.org thing, they're really good animal messages. We have the Search Dog Foundation, which have the dogs that they send out to look for people in the disasters. That's based down in not far from here in Santa Paula, and they're wonderful. We did a couple episodes with them. We've got the Wildlife Care Network that's got a fantastic animal hospital they built, beautiful hospital that you can bring in an animal that might have been injured or you find on the beach or gets hit, a deer gets hit on the road. You can bring them to them, and their vets will do the best they can to get them rehabilitated, and then they release them back to where they were found so they can reunite with their family. I mean,
that's
just
cool.
Great stuff like that. So all of our advertisers are people we deeply believe in.
Yeah. I love that.
Well, I don't want to put a damper on the conversation, but I mean, all of this is all pretty upbeat. Surely you see some not so great things too.
I don't. I mean, I've got to say for the 99% of the time on the show, on what we're working on, because we've already pre-qualified who we're going to, we're going to places that are positive stories. Because you can find as much depressing stuff as you want on the internet, that's all over the place. But I really wanted to make this show a show for families. I wanted to show it, have moms and dads and kids watching it. And actually, sometimes we had a photo someone sent me the other day of the family sitting around and the dogs were sitting on the couch watching the show. And I thought, that's great. We're entertaining dogs now, our best audience. But we really want to, keep it upbeat and positive because, this is the way I want people to be educated a little bit. I want to, give them a little bit of entertainment. And then I want to inspire them to kind of do good things for animals. And if we can do all three of those, we've done something.
The world needs some good news right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you for spreading the good news, if you will, about people all over the country and the world who are doing the right things for animals. And I think sometimes we have to remind ourselves that it's not all doom and gloom because we see so much of the bad. But we also see so much of the good in doing rescue. We really do. And a lot of that comes from the people who choose to dedicate their lives to making the world a better place by helping the creatures that we know that make our lives better.
Look for the helpers.
That's what we like to do.
Especially
when we're not feeling like there's
Inspired.
many helpers around. You look for them and you do feel better for sure. And I like that's what you're doing.
I mean, just doing a show like with you guys is so much fun. I'm going, this is worth the whole effort because, we're all kind of working on the same path of trying to help animals and it's fun. I mean, it's great to see animals doing well. I mean, that's the good news. And I always encourage when people say, well, what can I do to help? I go, well, there's lots of things. You can start by volunteering, fostering, donating money, or just spreading the word. Spreading the word is really important. Use your social media or your emails or whatever. Yeah. And so, that's kind of, I think, my takeaway from it all is we can all make a big difference in animals' lives.
It's true. If people aren't talking about it, they're not doing anything about it. That's true.
Well, we would love to have you here in Iowa, but we would more so love to join you wherever you.
Like
Okay.
Fiji.
Fiji. Well, you
I'm
never
sure we could
know.
find a
I
good
mean, that
story
could be
there.
on the
But if
on
you
the
ever
docket.
do find yourself in Iowa, we could fill your dance card. There are lots of people here that are doing the right thing and good things by animals. We're thankful to get to meet you, and we can't wait to watch more of your show and
I'm
learn
gonna go
more.
binge
I'm
this for
excited.
sure.
Yeah.
I just
Aw,
finished
thank you.
watching MASH for the 34th time.
Yeah,
so
you need
you
a
got
new
time?
show.
I'm ready for a new show.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that, and I will come to Iowa at some point. I've written down the Iowa Farm Sanctuary already as a
Check it out.
as a
They're pretty
starting
incredible.
point. And
And
I'd love
come
to
during
come.
State Fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
during the state
If I could
fair.
time
Yeah,
it right with
state fair.
Peter, it'd be perfect, huh?
Yeah, next time he's got a booking at the fair, which better be quick, I think. But get down here and
Talk to him about that tomorrow, will you?
yeah.
I'm going to. I may even send you a photo.
Yeah, get a signed photo for my mom, please.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
She would pass away. Well, this has been awesome. I didn't know what to expect. We got a note from you in our email, and we took a look at your website, and I'm like, well, this guy is our people.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. We'll have a great conversation. But this has been even
Better than
expected. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you. It's been great being with you both, and good luck with all that you're doing. And let's keep in touch with one another, okay?
Yes, please.
Let's do it.
All right.
Until then,
We'll
figure it out.
Oh my dog.
What I mean when I see, what I see, what I feel, when I dream, when I be, I'm a freak, what up? Oh, what up? Everybody look at me when I'm free, when I feel, what I see, when I do it, I'm a freak, what up? Oh, what up? Say what we got, it's hot to spot, give up the drop, see what we got, do what, do what? We got to go, the body flow too hot to show, the front row, we won't stop.